Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we're diving deep into the story of one of the most fascinating pennies in American history, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny. This coin might seem like just a simple penny, but don't be fooled, it holds a story of war, metal shortages and mistakes that turned ordinary change into a small fortune for some collectors. So sit back, relax, and let's explore everything about the 1944 wheat penny, its history, what makes it valuable, and how much it could be worth. Today on the market, let's begin with some background. The 1944 Lincoln wheat penny was minted during World War II, and it was a turning point in the production of U.S. coins. The country was in the middle of a massive war effort, and every piece of metal was being diverted to build tanks, planes, ships and weapons. In 1943, just a year earlier, the U.S. Mint had changed the penny from its traditional copper composition to a zinc-coated steel coin because copper was needed for ammunition. These 1943 steel cents were famous for their silver-like shine, but they also rusted easily and were often confused with dimes. This led to complaints from the public, so in 1944 the mint decided to return to using copper, but not just any copper. They used recycled shell casings gathered from training grounds and battlefields. This means that every 1944 wheat penny was made with metal that had been part of the war effort itself. That alone gives the coin incredible historical value. The 1944 penny features the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side or front with the words "I and God We Trust" above his head, liberty to his left, and the date 1944 on the right. The reverse side shows two wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent United States of America with the Latin motto E pluribus unum on top. This design had been in place since 1909 and remained until 1958. Now here's where it gets exciting. While most 1944 pennies were struck in copper, a tiny number of them were mistakenly made with the leftover steel planchets from the year before. These error coins, known as 1944 steel wheat pennies, are some of the rarest and most valuable pennies in the world. Experts estimate that fewer than 30 of these 1944 steel cents exist, and they have sold at auction for tens of thousands and even over $100,000 depending on their condition. But even if you don't have one of those ultra-rare steel cents, the regular copper 1944 penny can still be worth more than face value to collectors. There were three main mints that produced the 1944 penny: Philadelphia, Denver and San Francisco. If your coin has no mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia, and over 1 billion of these were struck, making them common but still collectible, especially in uncirculated condition. A 1944 D penny from the Denver Mint will have a small d below the date, and nearly 430 million of these were made. The 1944 S from San Francisco has an S mint mark, and about 282 million were struck. So what are these coins worth today? Let's start with the regular copper 1944 wheat penny in circulated condition, meaning it's been used but still readable. It's usually worth around 5 to 15 cents. If you have one in really nice shape or uncirculated condition, it could be worth anywhere from $2 to $5, but if the coin is in mint state with no strong strike and original luster, the value can climb higher. Some high-grade specimens sell for $20, $50 or even more, especially if certified by a professional grading service. Now for the big one, the 1944 steel wheat penny. If you believe you found one of these, test it with a magnet. Regular copper pennies are not magnetic, but steel ones will be. If your 1944 penny sticks to a magnet, you may be holding a treasure, but be careful because some people plate regular pennies with steel or zinc to fool collectors. So always get a suspicious coin authenticated by an expert or a third-party grader like PCGS or NGC. Authentic 1944 steel cents can fetch anywhere from $30,000 to over $100,000 depending on condition and provenance. Now let's talk about the marquetas of 2025. The demand for collectible U.S. coins remains strong, especially for classic coins like the Lincoln Wheat series. Online marketplaces like eBay, heritage auctions and great collections see regular bids on 1944 pennies, especially high grades and error coins. If you have a 1944 penny that you think might be rare or valuable, consider getting it professionally graded. This gives buyers confidence and can dramatically increase its selling price. To wrap things up, here's a quick checklist. If you have a 1944 penny, check for a mint mark under the date. No mint mark means Philadelphia. D means Denver. S means San Francisco. Check the color and material. Does it look silver and stick to a magnet? You might have a 1944 steel cent. Check the condition. Worn coins are common, but uncirculated ones are much rarer and more valuable. And finally, always do your homework or consult a coin expert before selling or buying high-value pieces. So there you have it. The 1944 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent wheat penny is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of wartime history, a symbol of American resilience, and for a lucky few it could be a life-changing discovery. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny. This little copper coin might just be sitting in your pocket or coin jar, and it could be worth much more than 1 cent. So if you have one of these old coins lying around, you might want to stick around because the history behind it and its current market value may surprise you. First, let's go back in time to understand where this coin fits in American history. The 1950 wheat penny was minted in Denver as indicated by the small D mint mark on the reverse side below the date. This coin is part of the beloved Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which ran from 1909 all the way through 1958. It features the portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 wheat stalks curving around the words 1 cent on the reverse side, hence the nickname Wheat Penny. Now, even though 1950 might not seem that long ago in numismatic terms, these coins are considered classic vintage collectibles, and the 1950 penny is no exception. Over 334 million of these were minted, which sounds like a lot, but here's the thing: not all of them have survived in great condition, and condition is everything when it comes to coin collecting. If you have a 1950 wheat penny that's been sitting in circulation for decades, its value might still be more than a cent. Usually a circulated example can fetch anywhere from 3 cents to 50 cents depending on where, but if you have one in uncirculated mint state condition, the value can rise dramatically. Coins graded MS-60 through MS-65 can be worth several dollars, while higher grades like MS-66, MS-67 or better can bring in 30, 50, or even hundreds of dollars at auction. Let's talk about some specific examples. For instance, in recent years, a certified 1950 Lincoln Cent graded MS-67 red by PCGS sold for over $1,000. In a major coin auction. Now that's a big jump from 1 cent to 1,000, and what made it valuable was the combination of superb condition, full original red color, and eye appeal. Collectors love coins that look like they just left the mint, and if yours has no major marks, scratches, or toning, it might be a gem. So why is the color red important when grading pennies? Over time, copper coins naturally darken due to oxidation, but coins that have retained their original reddish mint luster are considered more desirable and therefore more valuable. These are usually graded as red, while brown and red-brown are less valuable, although still collectible. Another factor that affects value is the strike quality. Some 1950 wheat pennies were weakly struck and details may not be sharp. If you find a coin with crisp, clean lines and full details, especially in Lincoln's hair and beard, then you could be looking at a premium piece. Also watch for error coins. Yes, even the 1950 Lincoln penny has known errors and varieties. Some errors to look out for include double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and die cracks. A repunched mint mark or RPM means that the D mint mark was punched more than once by hand, and sometimes they didn't line up perfectly. These varieties can command higher prices among collectors, especially if the RPM is strong and clearly visible under magnification. In addition, some rare varieties of the 1950 penny have what's known as a BIE error. This is a die break that appears between the letters B and E in the word liberty, making it look like it says Liberty rather than Liberty. These die breaks were unintentional, but many collectors seek them out for their uniqueness, and some BIE errors from the 1950s can sell for several dollars to even over $50 depending on how dramatic they are. Now let's bring things into the present. What is the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny worth today in the coin market? Well, circulated examples are common but still collectible. As we said earlier, most sell for a few cents to a dollar, but mint state examples, especially those graded MS-65 red or higher, are in demand and can sell from $20 all the way to over $1,000 depending on quality. Grading and color. As of now in 2025, coin dealers and auction houses report that strong demand continues for top-grade Lincoln cents, and the 1950 is no exception. Coins with excellent eye appeal are getting snapped up by collectors who want to complete a full set from 1909 to 1958, and that means prices can remain stable or even rise for certain examples, especially those with full red designation and minimal contact marks. If you think you have a 1950 penny that might be worth something, the best way to find out is to compare it with pictures of graded examples or have it evaluated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. This way you'll know its exact grade, and that helps determine its true market value. Some collectors also use online coin forums or Facebook groups to get advice from fellow enthusiasts. So to wrap it all up, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny might look like an ordinary old coin, but it holds historical value and potential financial value depending on its condition, color, strike, and possible errors. While circulated examples are mostly worth a few cents, top condition examples with bright red luster and clean surfaces can bring in big money, even over $1,000 in rare cases. So check your change, check your coin jars, and check those old family coin collections. You never know when a little copper penny from 1950 50 might turn out to be a treasure worth far more than face value. We're diving deep into one of the most iconic coins in American history, the 1955 Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny. This little copper coin might seem ordinary to the casual eye, but to collectors and numismatists it represents a fascinating piece of United States mint history. And for some lucky individuals this small coin could be worth a surprising amount of money. So if you think you might have one of these pennies tucked away in a jar or stashed in a drawer somewhere, you'll want to stick around and learn all about its background, its potential value, and what it could fetch on today's market. Let's start with a bit of historical background. The 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in Denver as indicated by the small letter D beneath the date. That year the Denver Mint struck a staggering number of these coins, with the total mintage reaching over 563 million pieces. That makes it one of the more common wheat pennies in terms of sheer quantity. But as with all coins, value is not determined by quantity alone. Condition, rarity and error varieties can all play a role in skyrocketing the price. The Lincoln Wheat Penny design itself has a deep legacy. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. The obverse side of the coin features a profile of President Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse shows two wheat stalks encircling the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design remained in use until 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse design in 1959. Now let's talk value. On average, a circulated 1955 penny in typical condition will not be worth more than a few cents above its face value. If it's worn, has scratches or discoloration, you're looking at maybe 3 to 10 cents for it, depending on who is buying. But that is just the beginning of the story. When you start moving into higher grades, the value changes significantly. An uncirculated or mint state 1955 penny can fetch anywhere from $1 to $15 or even more, depending on the coin's grade. Coins that are certified by grading services and that fall into the mint state 65 range or higher are particularly desirable. At MS 65 the coin could easily bring in $20 or more at auction or through private sale. But what makes the 1955 penny particularly interesting are its potential varieties and mint errors. While the famous 1955 double die penny is from the Philadelphia Mint, not the Denver one, there are still some 1955 varieties and errors that collectors look out for. These include repunched mint marks, off-center strikes and die cracks. A repunched mint mark, often abbreviated as RPM, happens when the D mint mark was punched more than once into the die, resulting in a visible overlapping effect on the letter. Some of these RPM varieties from 1955 can be worth anywhere from $5 to several $100s, depending on how dramatic the doubling is and the condition of the coin. If you happen to come across a 1955 penny with a significant error, like an off-center strike where part of the design is missing, or a coin that was struck on the wrong planchet, then you could be looking at a very valuable piece. Error coins from this date and mint can command prices ranging from $50 to well over $1,000, depending on how rare and dramatic the error is. Now let's look at the current market demand. As of this year, collectors are still actively pursuing high-grade Lincoln Wheat pennies to complete their coin albums and registry sets. While the 1955 isn't as rare as other dates, its value continues to hold up because of its age, its historical design, and the interest in Lincoln cent varieties overall. Coin dealers and auction sites are seeing consistent interest in mint condition specimens, and certified high-grade examples are still moving steadily. For example, in 2024 a pristine 1955 penny graded MS 67 red by PCGS sold for over $700 at auction. That's right, a single penny that was properly preserved and professionally graded fetched a price hundreds of times its face value. This just goes to show how important condition and certification are in determining a coin's true market value. So what should you do if you think you have a 1955 penny? First, take a close look at it. Use a magnifying glass or a coin loop and inspect the mint mark. See if there is any doubling, any strange shapes or odd features. Then examine the overall condition. If the coin looks shiny new and has no visible wear, it might be worth getting graded. If it looks average or heavily circulated, it may not be worth much on its own, but it can still be a fun addition to a collection or even sell for a small premium. And remember, even common dates like the 1955 Lincoln Wheat penny can surprise you. That old jar of pennies on the shelf might just be holding something special. Whether it's a rare error, a high-grade specimen, or even just a piece of American history, it's worth taking a second look. So there you have it, the story of the 1955 D. Abraham Lincoln wheat penny. From its origins at the Denver Mint to its potential value in today's collector market, this coin is more than just a piece of copper. It's a slice of history, a chance for discovery, and maybe even a little extra cash in your pocket. We are diving deep into the incredible story of the 1956 D. Lincoln wheat penny. This humble 1-cent coin might look ordinary, but in the world of numismatics it carries rich history, unique varieties, and surprising value that could turn your spare change into serious cash. So let's dig in. First, a bit of background. The Lincoln wheat penny, also known as the Lincoln cent, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, and it replaced the Indian head cent that came before it. The designer of this iconic coin was Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB you may have heard of, especially in reference to the rare 1909 VDB penny. Now back to 1956. The 1956 D wheat penny was struck at the Denver Mint, and over 1.05 billion of these coins were made. That's right, more than a billion, making it a very common coin at first glance. So why are people paying hundreds or even thousands of dollars for a single 1956 D wheat penny? Let's find out. There are three main reasons why the 1956 D penny can be worth a lot of money. First is condition. A regular 1956 D penny that has been in circulation is worth about 3 to 10 cents today, maybe more if it has nice color or luster. But if you have a coin that is in uncirculated condition, or better yet a coin graded mint state 65 or above by a professional grading service, that value jumps up significantly. Coins in MS65 condition can sell for $5 to $1.20 in MS67 condition. Prices can hit $200 or more depending on eye appeal. Second is error coins. These are the holy grails for many collectors, and 1956 D has its fair share of exciting mint errors. Some of the most valuable ones include double die obverse coins, where the date lettering or profile shows doubling under magnification. While not as famous as the 1955 double die, the 1956 D double die examples are still extremely desirable, especially to error collectors. These can bring in hundreds of dollars depending on clarity and grade. Another error is repunched mint marks, known as RPMs. A repunched D mint mark occurs when the D was punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions. These 1956 D RPMs are actually fairly common among error collectors, and some varieties have been cataloged and numbered depending on the specific variety and the coin's grade. A 1956 D RPM penny can sell for $10 to $150 or more. There are also off-center strikes, die cracks, and even clipped planchet errors that can affect the value. Third is toning and eye appeal. Some 1956 D pennies develop beautiful rainbow or golden toning over time, and these can be highly sought after by collectors who love attractive coins. If your coin has rich, colorful toning with sharp details and no damage, it could be worth far more than a standard brown example. So how do you know if your 1956 D penny is worth anything special? First, look at the condition. If it is heavily worn, it's probably worth just a few cents, but if it looks crisp, shiny, and has no scratches or discoloration, it may be worth sending to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. Next, use a magnifying glass to check for doubling on the date or mint mark. Look for signs of RPM errors or double die designs. Check online price guides and sold listings on eBay for comparison. Now let's talk real market prices as of today, July 2025. Here are some real-world examples of recent sales. A 1956 D penny graded MS67 red by PCGS recently sold for around $425 at auction. Another coin with strong toning and an RPM error sold raw for $85 on eBay. Even a nice MS65 red example can sell for around $15 to $25 consistently, but the real home runs are the top pop coins. One 1956 D penny graded MS67 plus red with amazing color sold for over $2,000 in a heritage auction. That's right, a 1-cent coin turning into a $2,000 payday. And it's not just flukes. Error collectors, toning collectors, and registry set builders all hunt for these high-grade examples. Let's wrap up with a few collecting tips. If you're coin roll hunting, always keep an eye out for wheat pennies, especially anything from the 50s down. Dismiss common dates without checking for condition and errors. Store your coins in a dry, safe environment using coin flips or holders to preserve value. And if you find something special, consider having it graded to unlock maximum market potential. So there you have it. The 1956 D Lincoln wheat penny might be old and common, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be worth far more than face value. Video. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1956 Lincoln wheat cent, also known as the 1956 wheat penny. This little copper coin has captured the attention of collectors across the world due to its historical value, its variations, and in some cases its surprising price tag at auctions. Let's start with the basics. The 1956 wheat penny features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln facing right with the word liberty on the left side and the year 1956 on the right side above Lincoln's head. You'll find the famous motto "In God We Trust." On the reverse side you'll see the iconic wheat ears on both sides with the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America along with E Pluribus Unum on top. Now let's talk about the history. The wheat penny design was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first time a U.S. coin featured a real, historical figure, which at the time was a bold and innovative move. The wheat design on the reverse symbolized prosperity and was used until 1958 when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design. The 1956 version is one of the later years in the wheat penny series, and it was produced in large numbers by both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. In total, more than 1 billion Lincoln wheat cents were minted in 1956. So on the surface it may seem like a common coin, but don't let the high mintage fool you. Not all 1956 pennies are equal and some can be worth a lot of money. Let's break it down by mint location. First up is the 1956 no mint mark penny, which was struck in Philadelphia. More than 420 million of these were made, but even within that large batch there are a few that stand out, especially those in uncirculated condition or with mint errors. Then we have the 1956 D penny, which was minted in Denver and has a small d under the year. Over 1 billion of these coins were struck, making it the most common, but again errors and condition can boost value tremendously. So how much is a 1956 wheat penny worth today in circulated condition? Most are worth just a few cents, maybe up to 20 or 30 cents depending on wear and demand. But if you have a 1956 penny in mint state, especially one graded MS65 or higher by a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC, the value can jump to $5, $10 or even more. Now here's where things get really interesting. Some 1956 pennies have valuable mint errors that make them highly sought after. For example, there are double die obverse errors where the lettering and date appear double. This kind of error can raise the value significantly, with some double die examples fetching hundreds of dollars. Another rare and exciting variation is the 1956 D over D repunched mint mark error. In this case the D mint mark was stamped more than once slightly off alignment, making it appear double. These RPM or repunched mint mark coins can sell for $30 to over $100 depending on the grade. And here's a tip: always inspect your wheat pennies with a magnifying glass or a coin loop. You never know when you might come across one of these rare errors without even realizing it. Now let's talk about the highest recorded auction prices for 1956 pennies. One example, a 1956 D Lincoln wheat penny graded MS67 red by PCGS sold for over $2,000 at auction. That's right, one small copper coin minted in 1956 sold for over $2,000. That's the kind of payday collectors dream about. So how do you know if your 1956 penny is worth something? First, check the condition. Look for any signs of damage, wear or scratches. Coins that look almost brand new with bright red luster are the most valuable. Next, check for errors or unusual markings. Compare the mint mark and lettering closely. You can even weigh the coin, because the standard weight of a 1956 wheat penny is 3.11 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, you may have an off-metal error coin. And finally, consider getting your coin professionally graded. If you believe it's in very high condition or has a rare error, a third-party grading service can certify its authenticity and help you get top dollar if you ever decide to sell it. In conclusion, while the average 1956 wheat penny may only be worth a few cents, there are definitely exceptions. Coins with rare errors, coins in pristine condition, and coins with historical significance can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So check your pocket change, your old coin jars, and those boxes in the attic. You never know what you might find. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1956 Lincoln wheat penny and want more coin collecting tips, coin history, and market updates, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell. That way you won't miss any of our future uploads. Drop a comment below and let us know if you've ever found a rare wheat penny or what your favorite coin to collect is. We're diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting with a focus on one of the most iconic and potentially valuable coins in American history, the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny. Now this penny may seem like just another copper coin, but it carries with it decades of history, mystery, and in some cases a whole lot of monetary value. So sit tight, because we are going deep into the story of the 1958 D wheat penny. Let's start with a bit of background. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to Honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real person. The wheat ears on the reverse were designed by Victor David Brenner and they symbolize national prosperity. The wheat penny was minted from 1909 until 1958, making the 1958 version the very last of the wheat-back design before it switched over to the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. Now the 1958 D wheat penny was minted in Denver as noted by the D mint mark under the date that year. The Denver Mint produced over 800 million pennies, so yes, technically it's not a rare coin in circulation and you might even find one in pocket change or old jars of coins, but don't be too quick to dismiss it, because while most 1958 D wheat pennies are common and worth only a few cents to a couple of dollars in circulated condition, there are some rare and valuable exceptions. Let's talk value. A regular 1958 D wheat penny in circulated condition usually sells for about 5 to 25 cents depending on where in copper tone. If it's in uncirculated or mint state condition, the value can go up substantially. A bright red uncirculated 1958 D penny graded MS65 or higher by a grading service like PCGS or NGC can fetch between $5 to $20 and sometimes even more depending on the demand. But here's where it gets really interesting. While the regular 1958 D is quite common, there is a variety of the 1958 wheat penny without the D mint mark that was struck in Philadelphia and has become one of the rarest and most valuable Lincoln cents in existence. Only 3 are confirmed to exist and those can sell for over $1 million at auction. But even with the D mint mark, some 1958 D pennies have dramatic errors that raise their value significantly. For example, some 1958 D pennies were struck with a double die obverse. This means the image and text on the front of the coin was impressed twice with slight misalignment, creating a bold and easily visible doubling on the words "Liberty in God We Trust" and the date. These double die errors can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially in mint condition. In fact, a high-grade 1958 D double die has sold at auction for over $5,000. So how can you tell if your 1958 D penny is worth a lot? The key is to examine it carefully under magnification. Look closely at the lettering, especially the motto "In God We Trust" and the word "Liberty." If there's clear doubling or any unusual anomalies, you may have a rare variety. It's also a good idea to weigh the coin, as genuine copper pennies from this era should weigh around 3.11 grams. If it's significantly more or less, it could be an error or counterfeit. Another important factor is the color and luster. Coin collectors grade pennies based on color. Red brown and brown red pennies in uncirculated condition are the most valuable because they have retained the original mint luster. A red 1958 D penny graded MS67 can bring in serious money, with auction prices going above $100 and higher for exceptionally clean examples. Let's talk about the current market. As of today in 2025, the demand for Lincoln wheat pennies remains strong among collectors, especially for high-grade and error coins. A standard 1958 D in average condition will not make you rich, but a top-graded MS67 red example or a confirmed double die variety is highly desirable on the market and can bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coin shows, online auctions and dedicated numismatic dealers are all places where the 1958 D wheat penny is bought and sold. If you're looking to sell yours, make sure you get it appraised and possibly graded if it appears uncirculated or has any error traits. So in summary, the 1958 D Lincoln wheat penny may not be rare in quantity, but its history as the final year of the wheat reverse design makes it significant to collectors, and thanks to varieties like the double die and pristine mint state examples, it's absolutely possible that a coin you find in a drawer could be worth serious money. Always check your change, keep an eye on those wheat pennies, and if you come across a 1958 D, take a close look, because it just might be more than 1 cent. We are diving deep into the fascinating story of one of the most iconic and mysterious coins in American numismatic history. The 1958 Lincoln wheat cent, a tiny copper coin that has stirred up major excitement in the world of coin collecting for decades and even today continues to surprise collectors and investors with its rising market value. The 1958 wheat penny may look like just another old coin in your jar or pocket change, but did you know that some versions of this penny have sold for over $1 million? That's right, over $1 million for a single penny. Sounds unbelievable? Stay tuned, because we are about to break down the incredible history, the rare varieties, what makes them valuable, and what this coin is worth today in the current coin market. Let's rewind to the early 20th century. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical person on the obverse or front. Of the coin prior to that, U.S. coins only featured symbolic figures such as Lady Liberty. Victor David Brenner designed the Lincoln cent, and his initials VDB were famously placed on the reverse side at the bottom between the wheat stalks of the first few 1909 coins. The coin's reverse featured two simple wheat ears symbolizing prosperity. This design became so iconic it remained in use all the way until 1958. That brings us to the coin in question, the 1958 wheat penny, the last year the wheat reverse was ever minted. Starting in 1959, the reverse design changed to the Lincoln Memorial to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That alone makes the 1958 issue historically significant as the end of a long and beloved era. The 1958 penny was minted in two locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia mint coins carry no mint mark, and the Denver coins show a small letter D under the date. More than 252 million pennies were struck in Philadelphia that year, while the Denver mint produced over 800 million. That's over a billion wheat pennies in total for just 1958, making them very common overall. So why are we even talking about the 1958 Lincoln cent if it's so common and so heavily produced? Here's where things get interesting. While the regular 1958 pennies are only worth a few cents in circulated condition, there exists one rare and mysterious error coin that has stunned the coin collecting world: the 1958 double die obverse Lincoln cent. This ultra-rare variety features a dramatic doubling of the inscriptions on the obverse. Look closely at the words Liberty and In God We Trust and you will see clear doubling, as if they were struck twice. This kind of error occurred due to a misalignment during the hubbing process when the dies that strike the coin are made. Only a few of these coins are known to exist with the doubling most easily seen on the letters Liberty and the date. To date, only 3 authenticated examples of the 1958 double die obverse penny have ever surfaced. That's right, only 3 known in existence, making it far rarer than even the famous 1955 double die penny. One of these ultra-rare 1958 double die pennies sold at public auction for over $1 million. The last reported sale reached a staggering $1.1 million at auction, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever sold. But even if you don't have one of those extremely rare double die versions, your 1958 penny might still be worth something, especially if it's in exceptional condition. A regular 1958 Lincoln wheat cent in uncirculated or mint state condition graded MS-65 or higher can be worth several dollars, and in some cases more than $20 if it has great luster and clean surfaces. High-grade proof versions, which were struck for collectors in special sets, can be even more valuable if they've been well preserved and professionally graded. A proof 1958 wheat penny graded PR-67 or higher with deep cameo contrast might fetch $50 or more, depending on the demand and coin market. So what's the current market like today for the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny? As of mid-2025, coin collectors continue to show strong interest in vintage Lincoln cents, especially the final year wheat-backed coins. The standard circulated 1958 pennies still trade in a 5 to 25 cent range depending on where, but uncirculated coins certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can easily bring between $5 and $50 or more based on grade. Rare mint state red examples graded MS-67 can even reach prices of $100 or higher. A flawless top population MS-67 red plus example might be listed for up to $200 or more in some auctions. And of course, if you believe you may have one of the ultra-rare double die versions, you should immediately have it authenticated and graded by a major third-party service. The $1 million versions are not easy to spot with the naked eye, but with magnification you can spot clear doubling on Liberty and In God We Trust, and sometimes the date itself. In conclusion, the 1958 Lincoln wheat penny is far more than just a common coin in your pocket change. It represents the end of a design era, a piece of presidential tribute, and in rare cases a jaw-dropping treasure worth 6 or even 7 figures. Whether you're a casual collector or a seasoned numismatist, it's always worth checking your coins carefully, because history, value and surprise can be hiding in plain sight. Video: we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny. This small copper coin might look ordinary at first glance, but it has a rich history, unique features, and in some cases it can be worth thousands of dollars depending on its condition and minting variety. So stick with me as we explore everything from its origin story to why it's so highly valued in the market today. If you have one of these coins lying around, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Let's start with the basics. The 1960 Lincoln penny was minted in Denver. That little letter D underneath the date stands for the Denver Mint. In 1960, over 1.5 billion of these coins were produced. That's right, more than 1.5 billion, which might make you wonder why would something produced in such high numbers be worth so much money today. The answer lies in the details, especially in a few rare varieties that collectors are constantly hunting for. Now here's where things get interesting. There are two main versions of the 1960 Lincoln penny: the small date and the large date. At first glance they may look identical, but if you look closely, especially at the number 9 and the number 6 in the date, you'll see the difference. In the small date variety, the numbers are more compact and the tops of the numerals align more evenly. In the large date variety, the numbers are taller and stretch higher above the other digits. The small date variety is far rarer, especially the 1960 small date, which is one of the most sought after Lincoln cents from the modern era. Most of the 1960 pennies were minted with the large date design. But a small number were struck with the small date design by mistake or during the transitional period. And this is exactly what makes the 1960 small date penny so valuable to collectors today. So how can you tell which one you have? The best way is to compare your coin to a known small date example. Look at the shape and height of the numbers. On a small date, the 9 curls under more tightly and the 6 appears almost level with the 1 and the 9. The large date version will show a taller 6 and 9 with more spacing and height. Now let's talk money. A regular 1960 large date penny in circulated condition is usually worth just face value, maybe a few cents if it's in better condition. But if you have a 1960 small date penny, things change dramatically. Even in circulated condition, a small date variety can fetch anywhere from $5 to $20 depending on where. In uncirculated condition, or what collectors call mint state, the value climbs much higher. In fact, according to recent auction records and coin dealer data, a 1960 small date penny in mint state 65 red can sell for upwards of $150 to $250. Higher grades like mint state 66 or 67 red can go for $500 to over $1,000. And if your penny has an amazing strike, full luster and no scratches, it could fetch even more. But wait, there's more. There's another extremely rare version of this coin, the 1960 D/D small date. This is a variety where the mint mark was punched twice, one over the other, creating a D/D look. It's known in the coin world as a repunched mint mark, or RPM. These coins are quite rare and highly collectible. If you find one of these in good condition, it could be worth several $100s to well over $1,000. So how do you know if your 1960 penny is one of these special types? First, you'll need a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Examine the date for the small date features and then check the D mint mark to see if it shows signs of being punched twice. If you're not sure, or if you think you might have something rare, it's best to take your coin to a professional numismatist or a reputable coin dealer for an evaluation. Now let's zoom out a bit and talk about the historical context of the 1960 Lincoln penny. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic image. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent kept the same obverse portrait for over a century. In 1959, the reverse design was changed from the wheat ears to the Lincoln Memorial to celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday. So by 1960 this new design was just 1 year old. The 1960 penny marks an important moment in U.S. coinage. It represents both a continuation of the Lincoln design legacy and the beginning of the Memorial reverse era. For collectors, the small date variety adds a layer of mystery and value to an already beloved coin. Let's not forget the material of the coin. The 1960 Lincoln cents were made primarily of copper. Specifically, they were composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This makes them heavier and darker than modern pennies, which after 1982 were switched to mostly zinc with a copper plating. The older copper coins are generally considered more desirable due to their weight, durability and intrinsic metal value. So what's the current market value for these coins in July 2025? As of today, a regular 1960 large date penny in circulated condition is still worth about 1 cent to a few cents. A small date version in uncirculated condition sells for $100 to $200 on average. A red gem mint state small date could sell for over $500. And a rare 1960 D/D repunched mint mark in top condition has recently sold at auction for more than $1,500. Collectors continue to seek out these coins, and values can rise over time, especially as fewer high-grade examples are available. If you're going through old jars, boxes or coin rolls and come across a 1960 penny, take a moment to check the date, size and mint mark. You might just have a valuable piece of numismatic history in your hands, and there you have it, folks. The 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny is more than just pocket change. With its unique varieties, historical importance and increasing demand among collectors, it stands as a testament to how even the smallest coins can carry big stories and big value. If you found this video helpful or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content about rare coins, hidden treasures and money that might be hiding in plain sight. Drop a comment below if you have a 1960 penny or if you'd like me to cover any other rare coins in future videos. Thanks for watching and happy collecting.